Hello YouTube, this is Matt from the Bluebell Model Railway channel, here with a new model and a product review. Now, as always, as I state, this model has been purchased by myself. There's no sponsors or anything like that. This is just models I purchase which are of interest to me, and of course, being the Bluebell Model Railway channel, of course, it's a Bluebell model, of course. So this model, released by Rapido, is the Eastern Chatham O1 Locomotive 060, and this was designed by Wainwright, and of course they always got rebuilt later on in their lives into the O1 class. They were originally the O class. This one is based on the preserved example on the Bluebell Railway number 65, and is still currently running today on that line. So we're going to take a quick spin round the locomotive, highlighting the good bits. Hopefully there's a few of them, and bad bits if there are any. I have tested this model before actually reviewing it, and there is a small niggle which I'll get onto when we get there. However, this may need to go back for some repair work, but we'll get to that when I actually get to that point in time. So let's have a quick look at what comes with the model. So what do you get in your rather sturdy Rapido box? Of course, all the modern day packaging, nice steady box. You get a nice foam outside and nice foam over the top of the ice block or ice cube packaging. In that ice cube packaging you have two boxes. So you have one for the tender and one for the locomotive, so it's slightly different, and that has polystyrene on the top to stop any impact damage. You also have your instruction manual, how to run it in, spares and all that kind of thing, warranty, etc. Please read it carefully before running in your model, and also make sure you do follow the running in instructions. Don't go straight onto your layout and start trying to pull rather heavy loads. We also have a good range of detailing items to add to your model. So we have various root discs and some special root discs, like the cleanest engine award by the looks of it, but all appropriate root discs, including cross and specials, etc, etc. You also have cab doors which are nicely printed as well, with the various lining of the Southeastern Chatham. You have screw links, steam heat pipes, and just standard hooks without any screw links on. And also, happy to say, you have some etched plates which do look like brass, so that's really great. And you can add these on with a bit of varnish or PVA, whatever you want to do. So let's look at this model's vital statistics and basics. So this is number 65, as based on the Bluebell Railway in preservation. It is in Southeastern Chatham Railway Wainwright green livery, full lined green livery, and has the tapered buffers as well on each end. The loco has a can motor with a flywheel, and also has a 21 pin DCC socket located in the tender. This model is the DC silent version, and it's worth noting as well, on some websites this is also mentioned as having the next 18 decoder socket, which is incorrect. It is the 21 pin chip version. It comes with pickups on the tender, but also frustratingly from the past it has plunger pickups on the loco end, which I'll get into very soon, as mine has a small problem. The loco also has a firebox glow. It doesn't flicker unless you have DCC, which is a bit disappointing again. The brasswork looks reasonable under this light, but it does look a bit dull. It has NEM pockets front and rear, as well as various cosmetic scale details. Now let's get on to looking around this model. So let's start at the front end of this new Rapido model. So starting at the front, and the standard things you usually find, you have the standard NEM pocket with tension lock. You can fit whatever coupling you wish, and you also have the sprung buffers, which is pretty much standard these days as well. Apart from that, we have some wonderful decoration added to this model's front end. So we have a beautifully lined out buffer beam, so yellow and black around the border, as well as some very nicely printed numbers, and number 65 of course. We have a separately fitted vacuum pipe on the front, and of course there is a steam pipe and screw-link coupling, or just a hook if you wish to add on to the front as well. Along the top of the buffer beam we have separately fitted lamp iron holders, or lamp brackets, or root disc holders. We also have some on the side of the smoke box and on the top of the smoke box. The smoke box door has nicely highlighted areas such as the straps and the smoke box door darts, which is highlighted in silver. The separately fitted items like the smoke box handrail around the front is nicely fitted, no glue marks, and has also been finished in a sort of slightly off satin matte black kind of finish. You can also tell that Rapido have taken some time to actually research these properly, and I did see a comment from one member on RM Web who stated about the rivets. Now the later ones, like the preservation one, like this one, has the dome rivet type, as you can see them quite clearly, but on the earlier Southeastern Chatham ones, the ones from that time period, they actually have the flush rivets instead of this later type, and they continue through the Southern era as well, until getting on to sort of British Railways era. So it's a nice point that they've taken the time to model this as well. We also have some lubricator pots on the side of the smoke box saddle, both sides, and we have the separately fitted chimney as well. Of course you can do different types as well of chimney on this locomotive. So looking down the side of the locomotive, we have of course the beautifully lined out boiler barrel with the various shades of green and red and yellows. We also have a nicely highlighted brass ring around the back of the smoke box, lined out splashers, highlighted clack valve and pipe, lined out running plate all the way down to the steps. The wheels are also fully lined out in terms of lining out the boss and the spokes on every single wheel. We also have factory fitted brake rigging underneath. We've got the sanding gear and also the sanding pipes all picked out in red. We also have some separately fitted pipe work which loops around the back of the step and back onto the drag box. And overall finish on this is very nice. The domes, it's on camera looks pretty good, but to my eye over the top of the camera it does look a little dull, and it sort of gives that finish of brass, so it is a little bit better than the previous ones we've seen, so it has improved a bit. We have the safety valves on top as well as the lever on top as well, highlighted in red. I probably would have liked to have seen the safety valves actually sort of dulled down into a sort of black colour, but I can do that personally myself. And also we have some, again, pipes on the front of the cab there. Moving along, and just under the running plate, we can also see a very nice representation of the running gear, valve gear motion inside the frames. This is non-operational, which is a bit of a shame, but it certainly does have the look and appeal of it actually working. Looking at the front and the side of the cabs, we also have, I think, the first manufacturer to do it, I think off the top of my head. The edging of the roof is lined out in red, which I also did by hand on my Hornby H class way back when that was released. I think this is the first manufacturer that's actually done it by factory finish. So I've got some nice lining around the edge of the boiler and also the front of the cab, as well as some nice picked up brass highlights around the spectacle glasses on the front of the cab or the windows. On top of the cab roof we have a nicely turned whistle, as well as an open cab roof vent. We have the, as expected, nice lining down the side of the cab, and a very nicely printed cab side number plate. Of course you have an etched version of this in your detailing pack if you wish to add it. Just use a little bit of PVA or some varnish. We also have some nice handrails on the side as well as the cab handrails just here. Very finely done and very nicely fitted. So having a look in the cab of the O1, we can see plenty of painted and separately fitted areas on this cab. The cab surround is in its nice ochre, sort of deep dark yellow colour. We've got some flush glazing in the windows. We've also got some nice gauge glasses on the back, as well as all the handles and levers that you would expect in this cab. The pipework is nicely painted and fitted out, and also the firebox doors or firehole doors are just about open to allow the firebox flicker or glow to come through. We've also got some nice text on the right hand side there, just above the lever for the drain cocks, but the one thing that does stand out to me is the centre of this back head. The water gauge glasses are just completely and utterly black, not painted or decorated in any such way. To me that's a bit of a surprise, because they are sort of the focal point of the centre of the boiler apart from the regulator handle. There's no striping, there's no white or brass to go around those gauge glasses, and it sort of looks a bit unfinished, which I'm a little bit surprised at, and I don't really see this much from other manufacturers, if at all. So I was a bit surprised by that, so a small negative on that side. So looking at the locomotive drawbar here between a locomotive and tender, Rapido have opted for the 8-pin plug solution, which I think was first seen somewhere on their Sterling single model, which was done by obviously Rapido Trains America, and this follows through into the UK market. Rapido have been using the system for some time. Hornby have just started using it on their P2s and various other tender locomotives. Of course it is required, with electrics being in the tender mainly for the DCC socket and also for sound if you have it, to communicate with the motor at the front, and also take electricity from the wheels and the tender wheels, etc., to provide drive. Of course this locomotive also has a firebox glow, so it is needed. It is certainly a lot better than the old 4-pin plug system. I have seen one or two moans about this socket, clip-in socket, by one member, saying it causes derailments. This could be just their layout or them, or they seem to have fixed it in some way, not quite sure how, but it is certainly a lot better and less fiddly and less breakable than the old 4 wires and 4-pin plugs. So taking a look at the tender of the O1, and we can see once again the South Eastern Chatham livery is beautifully represented here. We also have some lovely separately fitted handrails going along the side here. The lining continues up and under the underside of the lip that comes out over the top of the tender. The lettering is really nicely shaded and represented and crisply printed as well, which is really nice. The axle boxes are nicely lined out as well, which is very impressive. The Wellington brown and the yellow and the red lining around the frames, absolutely perfect. The wheels and the brake rigging and the brake blocks are all in line with the wheels, which is perfect. And as you can see, it also runs on the outside of the wheel as well, the brake rigging, which is quite difficult to do as there's not much room around there. The springs also on the outside of the tender water space. You can also see again printed nicely in the centre of the clasp of the spring, the nice logo or the nice red lining outline as well. We have more of that stunning livery application on the inside of the tender face. This is the front of the coal space. with the toolbox along the top, as well as some guards along the top as well. Separate handrails either side, also an external handbrake. So looking at the rear of the tender, it's pretty much the same as the front almost. We have the standard NEM pocket and sprung buffers, and of course the wonderful decoration around the outside of the buffer beam and also the buffer housings. We've also got some added decoration on the actual guard irons on the back of the tender, and we also have the separately fitted vacuum pipe on the buffer beam. Of course, you can also detail up the buffer beam in terms of adding your screw link coupling or hook, as well as the steam pipe. You can also add your root discs to the root disc irons there on the top of the buffer beam. We can also see the decoration on the back of the buffer beam plus some steps, which look very nice as well, and the lining continues throughout as is present everywhere else on the tender. So looking at the top of the tender, the water space and the coal space. The water space on the left, you can see the filler cap which runs underneath the coal space, and the coal space on the right has a fake coal load added. I can't see if this is removable, but it looks very much solidly attached, so this could probably be enhanced by adding a little bit more say coal scatter to the top with a little bit of PVA glue just to stick it into place. Other than that, it is, as you would expect, it's basically a space for carrying the DCC, the sound, anything like that. This tender, the wheels do pick up electricity from the pin points on the end, and then transfer it through the electrical socket and plug to the locomotive end. Down the opposite side of the locomotive, again we have the livery in all its glory, and we can see the steam reverser just here off to the right hand side between the middle and leading splasher. We can see lots of nice pipe work going from cab to the smoke box. This is done in such a way it actually does look like it's been shaped or hand shaped to be put there, which is quite a nice little aesthetic detail, but it does look very nice indeed, and really nice finish on this. I mean, there's only a few little bits I would tweak in terms of adding a bit of matte black to the running plate top surface, and that's about it. Again, we can see the chrome dome and safety valve bonnet. Again, on the camera it looks quite nice. To my eye it does look a little bit dull, but you can see what you can see on the camera. But overall I'm pretty happy with the livery application. This is just a little underside view of the model, and you can still see the motion, fake motion on the underside here. And this is the point where I'm going to get into a small problem that I found, and again this arcs back to, I believe, the 1500 or 15XX class that Rapido has done in the past. This uses plunger pickups on all locomotive wheels, and if you don't know what a plunger pickup is, it is basically a pickup which is sprung in a tube which then springs against the outside of the wheel. These are quite notorious for getting stuck or not springing properly or not returning to position. Unfortunately mine has got that problem. So the centre wheel here, centre wheel set, is springing only one side only, and it's not auto adjusting in terms of keeping it straight, and unfortunately it's only pushing one way rather than the other. So just to show you the underside of my problem on this model, so you can see on this side, you can see a plunger pickup just there which comes out from the side of the chassis and pushes against the back side of the wheel. On this side you can't see it at all. If I just take the pencil out of the way so I can refocus, you can't see it at all, and if I push the wheel set that way you can see nothing springs out. So in fact it's almost pretty much stuck in, and as you can see this one is springing back, which you can just see down the bottom there, and this one's not functioning at all. So I've only seemingly got 5 out of the 6 wheels working. You can see on here that one's working just there on the top side, just there where my pencil is there. You can see the one on the bottom as well, so it's sort of an equalising spring between the two. That one's working, this one isn't, and I think this one is. Yeah, I can just about see it on the back there on the top of my thumb. So that seems to be working okay, but it's just the middle set which unfortunately doesn't seem to be working at all, and there just seems to be space between that and the side of the chassis, so that's a bit disappointing, and I have contacted Rapido and I am awaiting their reply. So fast forward a few weeks and the O1 is back from Rapido Trains UK. I filled out the warranty form on the 9th or the 10th of September, and they received it and checked it in on the 22nd, and it has just returned to me on the 6th of October. Looking at the warranty form, all they've done is replace the front end, so the locomotive end only. The tender remains the original. As I mentioned, I did have a problem with the plunger pickup, which was stuck inward of the position it should be, and it wasn't returning to where it should be against the wheel. A few notes, it took a couple of weeks, but it got there in the end, but unfortunately there's a few things even on this model which I'm a bit disappointed on. The lamp irons on the front are a bit bent backwards, and also the cab handrail on this side was detached, and it doesn't actually look like it's attached to anything in particular, so I've repaired that and just put it back the way it should be. There's no holes for it to go into, it just sort of sits up against the back of the cab. On another note as well, unfortunately there is some damage to decoration on the wheel on the other side, the middle driving wheel, and also somewhere along the line the tension lock coupling has gone missing out of the box and doesn't seem to be there anymore, so I'm going to have to try and find one in my spares drawer and replace that as well. So a little bit disappointing, and a little bit more quality control, I would say, on some of these items to make sure the customer does get what he's actually paid for, which is a good quality model with hopefully no defects on it. But with that said, let's head over to the rolling road, and hopefully the running has improved since the last time I actually had it. So to briefly summarise this new model from Rapido Trains UK, this is of course the South Eastern Chatham Railway O1 class, number 65, or as preserved. The model itself I paid £169, comes with a nice cordless motor, strong cordless motor, great detail, great decoration, and of course it's in the Wainwright livery. I purchased this model from Derails, which also came with a nice packet of biscuits. Yummy. The model itself, when it arrived, unfortunately didn't quite run correctly, as I alluded to in the first part of this video. I found there was a defective plunger pickup on the middle pair of driving wheels, which I then promptly sent the model back to Rapido Trains UK to have a look at under warranty. The model came back a couple of weeks later, and the locomotive end was changed. No repair, it was just completely and utterly changed for a different unit, and the tender remained the same. The new unit does run a lot better and smoother, and there doesn't seem to be any defective electronic parts. However, I did spot a few little bent lamp irons and also some print missing off the middle driving wheel. So the level of finish on this model is to an extremely high standard. The lining is very nicely done, the printing is nicely done, the highlights around the sanders, as well as the sander pipes being painted, the wheels being lined out, the sand pots or boxes underneath the running plate lined out as well, something other manufacturers have struggled with, and also a nice red line around the locomotive roof, which a lot of them have not done in the past. Really nice text as well, printing on the tender. And also we've got a lovely smoke box which is painted a slightly different shade of black, so it's a matte black rather than a satin. That's a nice feature as well. Detail wise, nicely done as well all throughout. The domes as well, just going back to the finish, it's been finished slightly differently to all the other ones that have had chrome on them. It works on camera, it does look chromed, but to my eye it's a little bit dull. But that's just maybe my eyes, who knows. But it does look a bit dull in the light I'm looking at it in, but on the camera it does look nice and bright and does actually look almost chrome. Of course you get the standard sprung buffers. The one small thing I am disappointed on is the lack of a movable vent on the roof, and also the fake coal load, which doesn't look great and is a bit hard to remove if you want to remove it. The other small thing I'm a bit disappointed on is the firebox glow, which I really wish was a flicker. Other manufacturers have managed it, but seemingly Rapido seems hesitant to add it on their models. The other small thing, as I've already mentioned, which I dislike, are the plunger pickups. Of course I've had a problem with one, and I know some other models in the past, on other classes shall we say, had quite a lot of problems. So it's a bit disappointing to see them being used again, but maybe just around the development time it's in a similar time frame to that one. Overall, for the money, great levels of detail, great finish, really great runner, and it does look exquisite, I have to say. Very nicely done. So if there are any left around the UK, get hold of one as quickly as you can. I really wish in a way I bought the blue one as well, but never mind. Anyway, I hope this video has helped make you decide, or given you a good review in terms of what you thought it was going to be like. So give us a like and a subscribe, that'd be fantastic. And of course, I'll see you on the next one, whatever that might be. Bye for now.